Nvidia heard your complaints about scalpers and they absolutely got rid of all GPU scalpers. Well, I guess they became the scalpers themselves. The 4070 Ti is probably going to be one of the least scalped and sold on the reseller market GPUs that we've ever seen in recent times. Now, even the RTX 4090, which was already $1,600, is heavily scalped. When that came out, people snapped them up, and if you're at least happy that Nvidia got rid of scalpers, remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Remember, if you don't, in the future, you may have Nvidia scalping and real scalpers as well, and that's going to be twice as bad. And of course, a lot of these people, they came from like the sneaker world where they used to have, all types of shenanigans with scalping and reselling, and they got used to the very lucrative market of RTX 3000 and even some of the AMD GPUs during 2020, 2021. So by the time the 4090 came out, they thought that party was still going on, and unfortunately it still was, because people bought the 4090 like it was going out of business. I mean, people bought it in mass. It's really, really funny how the most expensive GPU not only sold so much, people would then pay even more than retail, $1,600. You think that's a lot? Not to people buying from scalpers, because they were paying $2,200, $2,500. Sometimes for like a 4090 Strix, you could see them on eBay selling for over $3,000. These are numbers we haven't seen since like the 2021 GPU craze. So very funny that happened. And then, of course, we go on to the RTX 4080. That's when I first started pointing out to you guys that the scalper market was definitely changing. Now, don't get me wrong. People still lined up to buy and resell the 4080. This wasn't where scalping was completely eliminated. And in the beginning, it actually sold a couple. It wasn't anywhere like the 4090. And as the first week passed and people saw that the 4080 was actually being restocked and staying in stock a lot longer, across not only physical stores but also online, Newegg and Best Buy. As people saw that happening, and then the resellers were holding on to these very expensive RTX 4080s. At first they were trying to sell them for hundreds of dollars more, like they were. You can't even blame them, because they were used to that type of behavior from as recently as September. The 4090 taught them that GPUs are still very much in demand. And of course, a lot of times, some people that are resellers, they're not going to be like techie like we are and stay on top of the market and know that the 4080 is a terrible value. And now let's hear a word from our sponsor, VIP-CDKdeals.com, and they have a great sale going on. If you use my code CC20, you're going to get 30% off a Windows 10 Pro CD key. And yes, this will also work on Windows 11 if you wish to upgrade to it at a different time. The process is very simple. You go to their site, add to cart, you put in code CC20 for your discount. And then of course the activation process is also very simple. You want to go into your settings in Windows, change and adjust your CD key, click activate, and within a short period of time, your Windows is now activated. And now let's go back to the video. They may just glance over the new GPU release and think, all right, it's a 4080. People are going to buy it just like the 3080, but that didn't really happen, and it started to turn a lot of people away from reselling these GPUs. And even now, for example, Best Buy has had the Founders Edition, which is one of the best and cheapest versions of the 4080 in stock ever since mid-December. They've had it consistently in stock, where Best Buy is going to have much more exposure to most of the US and most of the country than a lot of the other, sellers like Micro Center and places that people often complain that they don't have one near them, which is also another point for scalpers, because sometimes scalpers that live near a Micro Center take advantage that they can get a GPU, often for a good price, and then they'll sell it to people who live in places where Micro Center isn't available, and then Newegg and Best Buy maybe weren't in stock or something like that. But as that started changing with the 4080, we then saw the AMD GPUs, where we had a little bit of a mix. The 7900 XT was in stock everywhere because the price was too high at $899. So that one didn't really have much of a reseller market, a very tiny amount, but basically nothing at all. On the other hand, the 7900 XTX, which is $999, and people feel that's a decent performance value, That one was fairly heavily scalped because it, first of all, much less numbers than the Nvidia GPUs in terms of its production, and people thought that it's a pretty good deal at $999, which only means they're probably willing to pay a little bit more. So that one sold out pretty much everywhere. Very difficult to find an XTX. And then, of course, resellers started selling them for hundreds of dollars more. Only recently have we heard of these issues with the coolers on the reference editions being a problem, which reference editions for this generation have been pretty abundant, actually. Even my Micro Center had a lot of them, and AIB models are just trickling out onto the market now, which may not have as much of a problem with these coolers. So that 7900 XTX definitely still very much scalped. I guess you can see a pattern here. The best GPUs of each company are the ones being resold. I taught people where to get GPUs when they're difficult to find. If you're a savvy shopper, you should be proud of yourself. You're going to be able to get something that's difficult to get. If you're going to be unethical about it, you should not be proud of yourself. In fact, on this channel, I've taught people how to be savvy shoppers, but stay within an ethical limit. For example, with Best Buy itself, when they get canceled orders from guys like these, that sometimes their systems will catch and they'll cancel and throw back GPUs to the store, I taught people you can actually go to the store and get your one GPU. It's a bit of a hassle. You have to show them the SKU number, that it's in stock, etc. But those videos were very popular, and it's using what anybody could use, any savvy shopper. It's literally walking into a store, asking the associate for the SKU number and showing them that it's available, and then you're able to buy just that one GPU. And then we get to the 4070 Ti, and this is where I truly feel that GPU scalping, at least for this generation, is absolutely over. So first of all, even days after the launch, it's still available in stock basically everywhere, and even the $799 models are still available. And even on launch day, places that would typically get like 100 people in line in the morning to buy like a 4090, even the 4080 got some people, not as much as the 4090. The 4070 Ti had maybe like 6 to 10 people. Some of them maybe were enthusiasts. Some of them, I bet, were the last few scalpers hoping to still turn a quick buck on this GPU release, because then you could check local markets like Facebook Marketplace and see if people got GPUs in hand faster than they would have been shipped if they got them in the local store. And you could see people did, and some people even would get them in online and post like the confirmation, and some of the prices they were trying to get were the typical ridiculous scalper markup. But it doesn't make any sense when you can just check almost any retailer and that exact GPU, even the Strix, which is the most expensive one, I saw a guy selling it for like $1,400 or something, which is pretty ridiculous, even though it's in stock basically everywhere because nobody's buying it. So very few resellers. Even when you check eBay, very few have sold. It was only one that I saw. It was like $999. Who knows if that's really a real listing. If you compare it to the 4090, it would have been like dozens and even hundreds during the first few days that sold. Even the 4080 had more volume. So the 4070 Ti definitely over. And this, of course, is better because people don't want to overpay for a GPU that's already expensive. Now, if a new GPU comes out that's really good value-wise and they don't produce too many of them, there is the chance that scalpers could come back because they're going to take advantage of that fact as well. But for now, Nvidia has pretty much taken scalpers out of the equation because their prices are already way too high. And not only that, that's part of the reason that the demand is just much lower now. You don't have an entire crypto market waiting to buy these more expensive GPUs. A gamer wants a good value proposition from a GPU because they're going to, have many factors to consider with their system, their other parts. Somebody who's using it for crypto mining during 2021, for example, only has one thing in mind. What is the return on investment? They're going to look at the power draw and what this GPU makes. And even if the GPU is a little bit more expensive than MSRP, or sometimes even more, like the 3080 was $699, but I've seen it selling for $2,100 during the peak in May of 2021. Somebody who bought that is going to think, well, I could make X amount of money every day and it's going to pay itself off in like a year or something like that. And then when the crypto market collapsed, that disappeared. So that's part of the reason we're seeing all of these GPUs in stock now. The people that bought the high-end stuff did it already, and the gamers now don't really want to spend that much for a mid-range GPU that should have been considerably cheaper. So at least for now, we have Nvidia to thank for getting rid of the scalper market. Alright guys, remember to smash that like button and subscribe, and let me know down below what you think of this new development. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Remember, if you don't, in the future you may have Nvidia scalping and real scalpers as well, and that's going to be twice as bad.